Have you ever stared into the static on an old TV screen? That swirling chaos of black and white, the constant, hissing shush. Most people see nothing, just noise. But for Daniel, it was a window. It all started on a sleepless night, April 22nd, 2016, in his small Toronto apartment. The city was quiet, the world was asleep, but Daniel's mind was racing. He had an old cathode ray tube television, a relic he couldn't bring himself to throw away. Frustrated with his insomnia, he turned it on. Not to a channel, but to the static. The snowstorm. He found the sound calming, a digital lullaby. He lay on his couch, letting the grand white pixels dance on his ceiling, the hiss filling the silence. And then he heard it. Faint, almost lost in the crackle. A whisper. He sat up, his heart giving a sudden thump. He leaned closer to the screen, turning the volume knob up. The hissing grew louder, a roaring waterfall of sound. But underneath it, clearer now, was a voice. A woman's voice. And it was calling his name. Daniel. He froze. It had to be his imagination. Sleep deprivation playing tricks on him. He switched the TV off, plunging the room into darkness and silence. But the silence was now more unnerving than the static had been. He didn't sleep at all that night. The next night, his curiosity got the better of him. He told himself it was just an experiment. At exactly 1 a.m., he switched on the old TV, static. He waited, his breath held tight in his chest. And there it was again. Daniel. This time, it was a little stronger, less like a whisper and more like a soft-spoken word, rising just above the noise. He tried to respond, his voice a dry croak. "Who's there?" Only the hiss answered. He spent an hour glued to the screen, but the voice didn't return. This became his new ritual. Every night, at 1 a.m., he would tune into the static. And every night, the voice grew a little clearer, a little more defined. It started with just his name. Then, it began to form sentences. "Daniel, I see you." Chills traced their way down his spine. How could anyone see him? He lived on the 20th floor. His curtains were drawn. Another night, the voice said, "Daniel, I'm so cold." It was filled with such a tangible sense of sorrow that Daniel felt a strange pang of sympathy. Who was she? A ghost? A signal from another dimension? He started talking back, telling her about his day, his lonely life. He felt a connection to this disembodied voice, a bizarre friendship forged in digital noise. The static was no longer a lullaby. It was a conversation. 1 week after it started, the voice sounded almost perfectly clear, as if she were standing right next to him. The usual hissing was there, but her voice cut through it with unnerving clarity. He turned on the TV, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. "Daniel," the voice said, warm and familiar now. "You've been so kind to me. Who are you?" he finally asked, his voice steady. "Where are you?" There was a pause, a brief moment where only the static hissed. Then, the voice returned, its tone shifting. The warmth was gone, replaced by something playful, yet sinister. "I'm closer than you think, Daniel." He felt the air in the room grow heavy, cold. The hairs on his arms stood on end. He stared at the swirling patterns on the screen, feeling as if they were staring back. "Turn around, Daniel," the voice whispered, a command that was both gentle and absolute. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run, to smash the television, to pretend none of this had ever happened. But he couldn't. His body was frozen, caught in a web of terror and an unbearable need to know. His neck felt stiff, as if it were made of stone. Slowly, mechanically, he began to turn his head. The room was exactly as he'd left it. The worn-out couch, the coffee table with a single mug, the faint glow from the street lights filtering through the curtains. everything was normal. He let out a shaky breath of relief. It was all in his head. Just a cruel, elaborate trick of his own exhausted mind. He turned back towards the television, a nervous laugh bubbling in his throat. But the laugh died before it could even form. Reflected in the dark, curved glass of the TV screen was the room behind him. And sitting on his couch, right where he had been moments before, was a figure. It was him. An exact copy of himself, dressed in the same clothes, with the same tired look in his eyes. The reflection wasn't moving as he did. It was sitting perfectly still. And then, as Daniel watched, in pure, unadulterated horror, the reflection smiled. It was a slow, wide, unnatural grin. A grin that didn't reach its eyes. The voice from the static spoke one last time, but it wasn't coming from the TV's speakers anymore. It was coming from his own reflection. It was his own voice, twisted and distorted. Some channels, it said, with that terrible smile, connect to places that shouldn't exist. And sometimes, we come through. He never looked away from the screen. He couldn't. He just stood there, watching himself watch him. The endless hiss of the static, the only sound left in a world that had suddenly, terrifyingly, split in two. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think happened to Daniel? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want more tales from the shadows, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Stay safe, and always be careful what you tune into.